Okay, so where to begin? I live in this tiny 8-room apartment building. It used to be an old motel, but was remodeled a couple of decades ago. Although I've only been living here for the past year or so. A few months here, I noticed that there was a pair of extra doors on the end of the building that wasn't an actual numbered room. I figured it must be the maintenance access to underneath where the utilities are, or maybe it was just a storage closet. Curiosity had always gotten me into trouble, and I've always wanted to explore abandoned buildings. But I didn't want to get into trouble, or perhaps be charged with trespassing. Then, about a week ago, I get a letter in the mail saying that the building was being torn down and everyone's lease was being terminated. So yesterday, I built up the courage and figured that since the place is being torn down, who gives a shit? I grabbed a flashlight and I headed out. I tried the doorknob on the door next to my own apartment, and it turned. I quickly entered and shut the door behind me, hoping that no one saw me sneak in. I was standing at the top of a small staircase that led underneath everybody's rooms, but then off to the right of the staircase was a small hallway that led to a room where that second unused door was. I decided to peek downstairs first and took a quick look around the corner. My assumptions were correct. It was just a hot water tank and a few other utilities around a sparse-looking basement. I headed back upstairs and tried to peek into that room with the other door, but it looked like somebody had put an unused screen door and mattress in the hallway, making for only about a foot or two gap. Not one to give up, I slowly squeezed my way through the hallway. I barely fit past the mattress and briefly hoped it would be easier to get out. Then I panned my flashlight around what I guess used to be the old office and front desk. As I looked around, I saw yet another hallway in the back corner of the room. It looked like that was the hallway where guests would walk down to their rooms after checking in at the front desk, but everyone's door is on the outside of the building. I started to wonder if maybe all the doorways had been boarded up and there was just an empty hallway left behind. Then I heard something drop from down the hallway. Trying not to immediately freak out and run off, I told myself it must have been a rat or something and started to wonder if there was an unused room down there. Before I could even consider maybe walking down, I heard a male voice start to whistle. His whistle was too loud and unmuffled for my liking, so trying not to take my eyes off the hallway, I backed up and tried to open that second door behind me, not caring if anyone outside saw me trespassing at this point. I turned around and fiddled with the deadbolt on the doorknob, but couldn't figure out in my own setting panic which one of the two locks was actually keeping it shut and keeping me trapped inside. I turned my head back to the hallway and my blood ran cold as I froze in place. There was a scruffy looking guy peeking around a corner at the end of the hallway. I started to shake and I wanted to scream, but I just stood there, staring into his cold, dead eyes. They looked like they were glossed over, like he wasn't even looking at me, but off into the distance. I don't know how much time passed before one of us decided to make a move. Unfortunately, it was him. He started to move out into the hallway, and that's where my functions returned. I slammed myself back through the hallway with the mattress and door, not caring how loud I was or if anyone heard me. Then I threw open the door and ran back to my own apartment. After closing and locking my own door, I picked up a knife from the kitchen counter and turned back and looked at my front door, waiting. After a few minutes and a couple of deep breaths, I decided to call the police. I didn't care if I was trespassing. I didn't care if I was charged. I didn't feel safe anymore, knowing someone was between the walls of the apartment. One officer stayed with me as the other entered and began his search. After a couple of minutes, he radios back and calls for a medical team. An ambulance shows up and the paramedics are soon bringing out a guy on a stretcher. The same scruffy-looking guy I saw. He's dead. The police take my statement and search the empty rooms for any evidence. I'm not sure what they found, but what the paramedics said still haunts me as I sit here, listening to the sounds come from the other side of my wall. He's been dead for a couple of days.